Have you ever fallen in love with someone in a dream, and waking up feels like you're missing something? What was the dream and your story? When I was in my early 20s, I had a dream where I was getting married. My whole family was there, and I was at the altar, waiting for my bride. It got to the part where she was walking down the aisle. It was so surreal, everything felt so real. I was nervous and excited. When she got up to the altar, I got a good look at her. She was stunning, absolutely beautiful. I didn't know her, nor did she look like anyone I know, but I felt like I had known her my whole life, and I was deeply in love with her. She looked at me and smiled, and as I opened my mouth to say something, I woke up. I sat up and with tears in my eyes, and that was that. I was back to the reality of being single college student. Edit. Oh wow, not sure I deserve it, but thank you so much for the awards. Didn't expect this many responses. I am at work ATM, but I'll try to reply to as many as I can. Imagine waking up and realizing you are already married, but not to the person you just dreamed about. At least you have options. Oh boy, finally somewhere I can tell this story. The exact details of how I met this woman are a bit hazy, but I was on a cliff, she was sitting next to me, her beauty like a goddess, her gaze so warm and comforting. She said that she knew something was bothering me, she could feel it, and told me to pour my soul out, that she will listen. I was going through some rough times, and I'm not the kind of person to open up to my friends, but here I felt I could. We talked for what seemed like hours, laughed and cried. We were there until the sun set. After that she said she had to go, and that she hoped we meet again someday. I turned my head for a second to look at the sunset, and when I looked back at her, she was gone. I have never felt so at peace with anyone in my life before. This wasn't a romantic kind of love, there was no lust, it was just pure as best as I can describe it. When I woke up, I finally felt at peace, after months. I couldn't forget it for a few days, and even looked for her face in the crowd but couldn't find her, and after some time I just stopped thinking about it, but I never forgot. Someday, I do hope we meet again. I dreamt I had a baby girl. She was so precious and little. I woke up and I missed her. I would dream of her often. It's unlikely I will have children, so it's a sad dream to have. Every time I've had a baby in a dream they wind up being the size of like a marble and I lose them in my messy house. Damn stressful. Edit. Typo. I started at a new job back in 2017. Got along well with quite a few of my coworkers. One in particular, however, was probably the funniest person I'd ever met. He was extremely easy to talk to, and we got along great, but I didn't, consciously, see him in that way, at first. About 3 weeks into the new job, I had a dream about him. I loved him in the dream, and he loved me too. It just felt like being in a warm, loving, healthy relationship. I can't remember exact details, but I woke up, heart aching, but shocked. I never saw him the same way again. My best shifts were with him. My worst shifts were without him. I thought about him constantly. We became closer friends over the next few weeks. I tried to stifle the feelings because I wasn't exactly looking for a relationship, but I couldn't help it. Turns out, he felt the same way. We've been together for almost 3 years and I'm just as in love today as I was in that dream. When I was in 6th grade, there was this girl in my class who I fought with all the time. We hated each other and would pick on each other constantly. About this time people in my class were huge on the theory that if someone was thinking about you while you were asleep, you would have a dream about them. Positive thoughts ended in a positive dream, bad thoughts meant a bad dream, and love meant a love, sex dream. I ended up having a dream about her one night and we were married. We had such an amazing relationship and loved each other and our baby. I woke up and had a crush on her for a long time after that, convinced she might like me too. Nothing ever came of it, but I faked a relationship with her our freshman year just to make her mad. It was so funny. I also have dreams that I am still together with my ex, before she cheated on me, broke up a little over a year ago. I'm so happy in the dreams and have such strong feelings for her. When I wake up I think we are still together for a couple minutes until I realize how abusive and horrible she was. I feel so empty after those dreams and I still miss feeling that way. She was the only relationship I've had, and feel like I'm missing out on a lot of good feelings and emotions. I fell in love with this French girl named Annalise who I met at a small cafe. We went through our whole relationship, culminating in a trip to Disneyland Paris. I woke up in the middle of us buying our tickets. I still think about her sometimes even though her face is pretty much gone from memory since I had this dream about 5 years ago. Wasn't there a guy in Reddit who fell in a short coma during which he had a full-fledged family? I think it messed him up bad. This one? Not exactly that, but I do sometimes dream of an ex that I still desperately love. In the dreams we are together and happy. When I wake up, after a few seconds, I realize it was a dream and the feeling of loss and pain is very, very real and strong. Sad face. I met the most astonishing and warm man in my life in a dream. We were already friends. The setting was a lake with very fine sand on the shore, a short wooden dock, and long lime green grass growing on the sides of it. I just remember us walking together and playing around. He playfully pushed me into the water off the dock. I remember having my eyes open as I looked up to the surface, breaking the water and seeing his face. He was laying on the dock, leaning over to look at me. His beautiful green and blue eyes watched me with such tenderness and his curly blonde locks fell over his face perfectly. Curly and fluffy hair as yellow as corn. I was resting my hands on the small key, gazing up at him when he laughed and only said one thing. I love you, before he kissed me. I still remember the sun directly behind him. His figure blocking it partially so it made him appear to be glowing. The rays that were so bright touched his hair and light golden skin. I've yet to see a man as beautiful or bare as him. I think what made me feel so in love with this person in my dream was the sensation of being naked and open. Naked in a sense that we had nothing to hide and felt comfortable with each other. The dream was so serene and surreal. I'll be damned if that wasn't fate giving me a peek at my future. In my dreams it is mostly my crush, but I am still putting it here. So each night when I am sleeping and that day I am feeling depressed or down or anything like this, she always shows up and talks to me, she always gets me back up. I hope one day I can tell her about these dreams and that she knows how much she means to me. All these people saying just go for it may not be in tune with reality. Go after your crush, but you may not want to lead with, hey I dream about you all the time, unless you guys are already really close. I dreamt that I was a prisoner of a high-tech facility and being experimented on with various amounts of torture. Every scientist or people I meet there in general are extremely cold and disgusted of me except for the counselor that asks me questions, like how I felt on certain experiments on me or how I lived before getting here. She wasn't some angel, but she was sympathetic to my pain that I felt more and more dependent on her sessions to feel normal. Then one day, there was an explosion in the facility that shuts down the locks on the doors and I tried to get out. However, there were already 2 soldiers out trying to stop me. I was kicked down and they were about to shoot, when bullets were shot to their heads, killing the 2 soldiers instantly. It was the counselor. She pulled me and got me out of the facility somehow. And then I woke up. I felt a bit of a hole in my chest knowing that in my dream, there was someone who would talk to me, that it wasn't just their job, but they were willing to help me too. When I was about 10 years old, I had a dream that I was in a bright, glowing white place, and suddenly a man in a white gown stood before me. He had gorgeous, wavy blonde hair. He was wearing a white gown. I had never seen this person in real life, but in the dream, I recognized him immediately. I immediately broke down sobbing because I missed him so much. He said something like, I miss you too, but don't worry. We'll meet again someday. I was greatly relieved to hear him say this. When I woke up I was completely devastated. I tried to tell my mom about the dream, but I broke down crying whenever I tried to talk about it. The dream was so vividly real that to this day I believe I may see this man again. When I think about how much he meant to me, I still have to fight back tears. I already answered to a question with this story, but let's go again. I'm a lonely person. I've never had many friends. I don't really trust people. My best, and pretty much only friend is going to another high school. Don't get me wrong, I do have a nice life, with lovely parents, who I love the most. I don't get bullied, I actually defend myself and others. People say I'm a nice listener and good at giving advice. I was a horrible student in middle school. But I have now straight A's in high school. I'm an outsider, and I enjoy being one. My dreams are big, but I'm working on them. I got interest in writing, creating my own characters, letting them live a life I decide. It was also a way to let my emotions out. I guess this one time the stress was too big. In my dream, I was sitting there in a beautiful garden full of flowers, drinking tea, and speaking to a person who is very important to me. We were talking about many topics. I can't remember the last time I smiled so much. He even flew with me to Santa Monica, a destination I want to visit, but alone. In the middle of the flight I woke up. I've never felt so horrible. I wanted to continue the dream so bad. No. I just never wanted it to end. This person, this guy, was like a father to me. He took his own life a long time ago. I was crying that night so much. As I said, I guess the stress was big, since exams were coming up. My hair was even falling out, and I couldn't sleep properly for days. Every night, before falling asleep, I think about the dream, hoping to have a chance to continue it. It isn't really falling in love, but it's a dream about a loved one. But, I do love him more after I dreamt about him. I actually did dream of having a boyfriend and we were on a date. A cat died on our table, but other than that we had wonderful time. I don't think I felt like I missed anything, but it was a nice dream and I had nice time in Slumberland for once. A cat died on our table. How the heck did that happen? It's a dream, anything can happen for no logical reason. Exactly, dude. I remember in one of my dreams I was riding a bike over a cobblestoned road, then I looked up and suddenly I'm flying a broomstick high up in the clouds. I dreamt about having a dog and when I woke up, I got panicked and searched him and cried. You should get a dog. My mom said no and daddy also. You basically just explained it. Whenever I've had a crush on someone they end up in a dream at some point it seems. I don't really recall any specific examples though. Usually the dreams happen before I realize I have a crush. Yes. I'm in a fulfilling romantic relationship with a guy, but have had multiple dreams of getting it on with women that have low-key made me question my sexuality. Maybe it's a side of me I've never explored. Brains are weird. I don't remember much, but one day I dreamed that I was dating this girl who was just amazing. When I woke up and realized she didn't even existed, it kind of hurted. I dreamt I was holding a baby girl, my daughter. It felt so real and made me desire even more to be a parent. This was a couple years ago when my wife and I started trying for a baby. Fast forward to today, approximately 2 months away from meeting our daughter. I had no idea this was so common. My memory is pretty hazy, but it was back in 10th grade when believe. Had a dream about me driving up to a woman's house in the countryside. She was dressed in dark colors and looked sad. We didn't talk, but she reluctantly pointed me in the direction of another woman in an all-white dress. I felt bad for the woman dressed in black and was reluctant to leave her but continued to approach the woman in white. We didn't talk, but she looked at me and I felt what I think is love. I have social anxiety, but back then it was way worse. This woman's presence made me feel complete warmth, comfort and belonging. I've never had the same feeling since and I felt like a part of me was ripped out when I woke up. It's stuck with me ever since, but I usually just chalk it up to hormones. This reminds me of a dream where I was in a poly relationship and loved the guy so much but knew he loved the other girl more. She wasn't mean to me and I didn't want to hate her, but I did. When I woke up I had a poem in my head from the dream that I wrote down and still remember. I'm not the one he loved, not completely, but I am the one he loved almost as equally. I've been waiting so long to tell this story. So all I can remember is me and another man were just lying on a single bed together, staring at the ceiling talking. We were holding hands too, and I remember I felt like I'd fallen in love, and I just wanted to stay there forever. I can't exactly remember what he looked like, but I just had a really strong feeling in the dream. When I woke up, I really missed the person I'd met in my dream, and how magical it felt. I guess it felt amazing too because of how lonely I am. I still sometimes wish I could see him in my dreams again. Alright, I will try to recall everything as best I can. I think I had just finished watch Saga of Tanya the Evil and Hogan's Heroes IRL, so that might be caused the scenario. WW2 or sometime frame similar. Nazis were leading the charge once again. Being open about being a Jew, I was captured quickly and put into a camp. There wasn't any mass murders like the Hollow, just a lot of get to work getting thrown about. A high-ranking officer in my section, she was kind to her prisoners. We constantly were doing better than the other groups, simply because of how she treated us. Her name was Zoe, I think. Mid-upper back, white hair, vibrant blue eyes, unblemished skin, maybe a B cup, 5 feet 2 inches, 5 feet 3 inches. It had been about a year at this point. The captivity felt very real. The food was all right, but nothing amazing. The work, it hurt me. The people, they all had stories and personalities. Most real a dream of mine has ever been. Winter arrived. I enjoyed the snow, having only ever seen it in shows and games. I was given a beating for not doing work. Some days I can still feel it IRL. But after the beating, I was dragged into Zoe's office for interrogation. I walked in, and was hit in the face with central heating. I was green with envy. I don't remember the exact events after that, but I do recall somehow she was sitting on her desk and was flirting with me. It went further, I was happy, and so was she. If she was after information, maybe she forgot. This went on and on for a while. It was summer when I woke up. I now understand roleplay in the bedroom. This is weirdly detailed. Whoa. This is probably gonna get buried, but I had a dream in which everyone had a soulmate, and if you meet said soulmate, wings would emerge from your back, creating this very breathtaking scene where you lock eyes with your soulmates and their wings just frame their body. So, it started with me sitting with my family, everything was semi-clear. But I remember being bored and leaving the building. I wandered around and ended up in front of a forest with a path going in. I followed the path and it led to a cliff where you can see the city view. It was night. Before me were two girls, both handa interlocked with each other. I don't remember what they looked like, but what I do remember is this sense of falling in love and lightness. It was such a nice feeling. When we three locked eyes, I felt the wings emerge from my back and then I woke up. Had this happen, but it was a kid I absolutely hated IRL. I still can't look at him the same. Sometimes I feel like these dreams are past lovers from former lives we lived in the past. Not a person, but food I really liked. Purple pizza that tasted like ice cream but slightly warmer, and this liked warm honey mixed with hot cocoa. Make it real. Actually had a dream after a breakup that my boss seduced me, not in a corny way, put her hand on the side of my face while outside the building, asked me to dinner, etc. When I woke up, I realized there were other people out there, but I did not pursue my boss, even though in the dream I was extremely taken with the person and the gesture. I used to dream about a guy who would recurringly appear in my dreams and we would recognize each other. I believed we were two real people who would meet up in our dreams when we slept and dreamt at the same time. Never saw him again after I moved into a new time zone. I realized this was probably just me being lonely and manifesting a friend crush. But just in case, if in one of your dreams you were a street racer and met a girl who did broomstick racing and we had some beers, hi. I have a crush on you. Once I had a dream like that about being super in love and in a happy relationship with some guy the first had been friends with a few years prior. Waking up I had this feeling of loss and was kinda mourning for a few days even though I was never really in love with that person. Way more common for me though is actually falling in love in my dreams. Every now and then I will have a very intense sex dream involving a friend, and when I wake up I find myself super excited and in love with that person. This feeling doesn't go away for a long time, so I guess I maybe fall in love with someone and the dream is simply a way of realizing it. I get these all the time too. Usually it's random people that I know or friends of my wife. It makes it awkward if I see them again in real life, but it eventually goes away. I think I've had this happen more than once. I'm used to heartbreak and feeling like something's missing though, so it's not big deal. Are eyes even real? Ooh, my time has come. So there was this boy in my class, he was really handsome and on a school trip we had chatted the whole time, we were in the same group. I enjoyed talking to him, but I didn't get a crush on him or anything. A few weeks later I randomly had a dream that he liked me and he came to my house and we did our homework together and we were super cute and nothing mattered but us. When I woke up I legit laid down for 15 minutes wondering if I would ever feel loved and had a crush on him. Nope. My dreams are mostly about escaping death or being targeted somehow. Back in middle school, I dreamt that I was sneaking around town on some kind of covert mission pre-dawn with my crush's older sister. We were decked out in tactical stuff or something, and she wouldn't tell me what we were doing or why. As we reached the end of a block, in the middle of an intersection, she turned to me, said, "You know too much," and shot me in the chest. Hot. I had 2 dreams about this guy. I don't know his name or what his whole face looked like, but he was tall, dark-skinned, he had an amazing smile, he was gentle and soft when he spoke, and I felt like I could spend eternity just sitting under the stars and talking to him. In the first dream, I met him at school, and I ended up leaving my friends behind to go and sneak into the auditorium with him, and we just sat on the stage and chatted for what felt like ages. He spoke to me as if I really mattered, as if I meant something even when I don't feel like I do. I don't remember how it ended, but I remember just seeing him smile and I just felt so at peace. In the next dream, I moved with my family into this new apartment, and he came to visit. I'm pretty sure he lived near me in this one. We talked for a long time until the sun rose the next day, and then he just says, "Call me if you need anything," and I mean anything, and then he gives me his name and phone number. Later in my dream I was home alone and someone was breaking in, so I reached for my phone to call him for help. Don't know why I didn't call the police lol, but I woke up right as I looked at the phone. I remember his name started with a V and ended with an R. It's amazing how much this stranger's been on my mind, and I've even tried to look up names to see if any of them ring a bell. The hopeless romantic in me says this guy really exists, but then again I still feel the sadness knowing he probably doesn't. I still think about him all the time, haha. Victor. Not a person, but a name. Now, before I say this, I mean no disrespect to anyone named Chet, I know that names don't reflect people's personalities. I fucking hate the name Chet. I hate it. I don't know why, I've never known a Chet. I just do. Well, I had a dream once that I was in love with this dude named Chet and I fell in love with the name, like I just saw it differently in the dream or something. Then when I woke up, I visualized it differently and the name meant everything to me. It lasted about 6 months. I don't remember the dream, but I knew I was dreaming. I've been trying astral projection and lucid dreaming. I remember the short-haired goddess I met. I was instantly in love. She was vibrating on my same level. It was like meeting my soulmate's soul. Then I woke up. I'm crying just writing about and recalling the experience. Fuck. I'm going to go cry in the shower now. TLDR, met my soulmate while lucid dreaming. Woke up to reality. Yes, in my dream I met this guy who had a small chin tattoo, never really been one for face tattoos, it looked like a Celtic symbol and the dream was great. The next morning I downloaded Tinder, which I had never used before, in order to find this dream guy, knowing that he might not be real. I found him. We went on our first date and he was exactly the way I dreamed about him. We've been together for almost a year now and I am so in love with him. I'm glad I didn't just give up on my dream. Okay, so my dreams always mean something. They're always super vague and intense. One day I have this dream about a guy. I wake up in my old apartment, lived there about a year ago parents, and I head to the bathroom but I noticed my parents' bedroom door was closed, which is weird. I try to open it but it was locked and I kinda thought, okay, like WTF is actually going on here, and then I hear a giggle from inside the room but it sounded like my friend, we'll call her Tiara. I knock on the door opens and I'm met with both of my closest friends, one was in fact Tiara and the other we'll call Michaela, who, get this, are married. So before I can start to question, the guy I'm having the dream about walks out of the bathroom. The doorway to their bedroom is catty corner to the bathroom, also because he's a dick I'm using his actual name, wearing nothing but underwear. The look I must have given Tiara, cause she was like, "Are you okay? You're acting weird." So I told her, "Yeah, I'm fine, just woke up disoriented." So, she suggests we go get ice cream from Schlotzsky's and we went. So, we take my car and when we get to the restaurant, I lucid dream. I tell her I know it's a dream, but it'd be nice reality and she says, honestly. We talked about life at that moment, cause I lied to my subconscious and said I woke up with amnesia. She told me that Matthew and I were a pretty happy couple and we've been together since prom. So I get a call from Michaela and she's pretty peeved that we didn't invite her and I tell her to come over, cause why not. She gets to the restaurant and we're all just talking and laughing, when Matthew calls, pretty upset that we left him at home alone, so he joins us and we're all having fun, then it's time to head home. Matthew starts an argument about how there are 3 cars, and 4 of us. Me and Tiara look at each other because this is the dumbest argument we've ever heard and I finally cut Matthew off and say, we go the way we came. You and Michaela go in y'all's cars, and we'll go in mine. Everyone agrees, and we head out. Now, a note, I live in a mountain town, so streets are really weird. We get to the street that leads from the main to my house, but after we get to said street, I for some reason cut through the streets with some new street to get to my house from the main road. If you're coming in from the opposite side of the street, from street you need to turn on, it's 3 left turns, but from the same side of the street, it's a right turn and 2 lefts. So it would make sense to add a street in between them, but no. They're isn't. So my brain made one. And it was horrifying. I mean, it was a dip that was deep, and the deeper you got, the more trees there were. By the time you've reached midpoint, it's just darkness. I woke up upon arrival. He backed out of prom with me and blocked me on everything, then suddenly decides to hang out with me and Tiara and told me he remembered nothing cause he was on Prozac, smiley face. I dream a lot. Is there a subreddit where you can dump your dreams, cause that'd be cool. Edit, some clarifications. Yes. It was semi-shortly after breaking up with the woman I was with for over 7 years. This dream girl was nobody I had ever seen, that I remember, and I don't remember the dream, only the intense feelings of love and happiness and, after waking up, the soul-crushing feeling of being all alone and empty. I've got bad luck with dreams. Most of the times I have dreams, they're nightmares or too mundane to remember. This one was incredibly bittersweet to me. The dream takes place in an airport, although the original reason I'm there completely escapes me. I'm trying to enjoy myself in the downtime that I have at there, so I head over to a section of the airport that seems to be like an internet cafe where people can just sit down and browse the interwebs and such. It's there that I meet her. She's cute and fun and I have no idea how we start talking, but I'm too engrossed in enjoying the company to care. Next thing I know, the both of us are strolling through the different stores in the airport, buying little souvenirs and snacks and laughing the entire time. But then, all good things must come to an end. She realizes it's time for her flight. We exchange pieces of paper with our emails on them so that we can keep in touch, although I don't check the email written. I walk her to her gate, which is utterly packed with people. I try to put on my best smile and I wave to her as I watch her enter that crowd of people, and she disappears just as suddenly as she came into my dream. Walking away from the gate, I suddenly realize the airport is now empty of people and the lights have begun to dim as the stores begin to close for the day. I exit the airport from like a side staircase into a parking lot, where it is apparently the dead of night now. I find my ride in the dark and get in. Around then, I slowly wake up to a world where this didn't happen, and a world with no little paper with her email info on it. I used to dream about an odd creature. I wouldn't call it falling in love, but I did love this creature a lot. It had no face, but many arms, eyes, and wings. It would sit beside me on a giant rock overlooking a forest and sunset, but we would never talk to each other. Until one night. I always thought highly of this creature. It was so majestic. And one night, it looked over at me and said, "So, you don't talk much." I was baffled. Even when I woke up, I had no idea why it decided to talk to me. Every night after that, we would talk. It had a deep, beautiful voice. Yet no discernible gender. It called me little one and would pat my head and hug me when I had a bad day. It knew about most things in my life. One night, I remember it lifting me in its many arms and giving me the tightest hug. It flew me to the clouds and into the sun. It took me to a little cottage that rested on the clouds before pouring me some tea. It told me that it had to leave. But it told me its name, and sung me a song before I woke up. I still remember the name, and I hope to see it again. Edit, for all the people who want to know, their name was Nauchna. Typical eldritch. Not very amazing or as exciting as the other stories, but I had a dream where I got a third dog. Damn, I missed him so much. I fall in love in my dreams all the time with the same person that I haven't seen in years. It's so weird. I think my brain associates him with love, but when I wake up it feels like he is my soulmate. I know he is not. Usually takes me a couple days to forget about it, but I know it will happen again. I had a dream I met my dreamland husband. We were separated for some reason and I knew I could find him if I just wait at our spot, a huge tree in the middle of a specific forest. I got there first and just paced back and forth. Something upsetting or bad happened, but I DK what it was now. I was just about to leave when he came running up to me and hugged me tightly. He said he was worried about me and hoped I'd be here waiting. He was slightly taller than me, maybe 6'1", with brown loose curly hair and could dress himself really well, which should have been my first clue it was a dream. Lol. When I woke up, I felt like I had been torn from my person, like an actual part of me was missing, and I was super anxious about it, which led to physical symptoms. At the time of this dream, I was going through some seriously fucked up PTSD that almost killed me. Men and relationships were, and are, the last things on my mind, so having that dream was not fun. I still think of him from time to time. Was it a stupid play by my brain? Yes. Do I want it to be true? Yeah. It sucks to feel such safety and love for and from someone who isn't real and you'll never see again. I can't fully recall the dream, but I had a wife and I woke up very upset that it was not real. I fell in love with a ghost and was attending my wedding with Hollywood celebrities as guests. The missing part were the opportunities I wasted confessing to my high school crush. You see, by the time that story ended, I had told everyone in my grade that I like her but her. Guess I just went all Christmas Carol here. Missing something. I've woken up devastated and needing a whole day to recover from the loss. This was several months ago, so the details are kind of hazy. I dreamed I was seeing or was married to a woman who vaguely resembled Dr. Corday on Earth. She was also a doctor, and she worked in some kind of futuristic clinic that was either for research or I got the feeling there was something else going on, like abortions. There was a door to the clinic that had a code to get in. I went to visit her at her work, but there were people protesting outside. I tried to go in the door, but the code had changed. I got the feeling that the clinic was closing. I got in through a tube which resembled a stainless steel MRI machine that people would drop babies off in. My wife, however, was not inside. I had the feeling that she was leaving, too, like she was dying. I went to what must have been our house. I've never seen this place in real life, and she was in the kitchen. I went to hug her because I somehow knew she was dying, but she didn't know. I was crying, and she asked what was wrong, but I couldn't tell her. I was pretty upset when I woke up from that one. I don't know who that woman was or why I felt so connected to her, but I was pretty sad about losing her. This happened to me when I was about 14. I had a dream that I was a young adult hanging out at a mall with my friends. We were sitting and talking at the food court when these two girls across from us give us some looks. This one girl had purple lip gloss that looked like it was made of some sorta cosmic space dust. We ended up chatting about stuff. I don't remember what it was exactly, but they ended up leaving. I said bye, then ran over cuz I forgot to get her number. I got it, she gave me a kiss, and I woke up. I could swear her lips tasted like candy, and when I woke up I could still taste it on my lips. Probably ate candy the night before or something. I had a dream like that once, where it just seemed so real and I wanted it to be real. Then I woke up to a fuzzy memory of a girl I knew only from imagination and a family I may never have. Still feel it today. Feels weirdly sad. Agree, I honestly had such a huge crush on this imaginary girl that it affected me for about a month. Weird how our brains do that. Yes, but I can't really recall the dream details. I just remember this overpowering feeling of bittersweet loss when, within the dream, they had to go. But the unadulterated joy and love I felt during the time I spent with them in the dream made up for it. It felt more like a memory visitation rather than a complex processing of my emotional state from who knows how long, aka a dream. It felt like I was meeting my soulmate again. I hope I do in this lifetime. There's a woman in my dreams. Sometimes we talk about my life, sometimes we talk about hers. It's weird, but it's basically a reoccurring dream, and it is good when I am stressed and it helps me decompress. Occasionally she is in other dreams too. An example is a dream that comes up and messes up my sleep for a week or two and then goes away. I am driving a truck down a country road, trees on either side. I adjust my rear view mirror to check on my son, and a very young girl in the back seat. They're both asleep, so I fix the mirror. Then I glance to my right at the woman from other dreams. She's asleep and sort of curled up in her seat. In this moment I feel happy and content. I consider turning on the radio, but I stop, concerned I may wake someone up. Eventually I come to a stop sign. I pause a moment and check. I see nothing. Then as I begin to go through the intersection I am blinded by headlights and the sound of a transport truck hitting its engine brakes. The clash of metal wakes me up and leaves me awake for hours. Because I don't know what happened to my son, the girl, or the woman. In my last pregnancy, and this current pregnant, the first trimester is filled with dreams about being in a relationship with past exes and crushes. They're so real, vivid, and the emotions tied to them are incredibly strong. It seems to be pretty common among pregnant women, but it sure fucks with your heart when you're already hormonal. I had a dream I was dating this girl from my English class, but we don't talk and don't know each other, but it happened to be on January 15, 2020 when we supposedly met. January 15th is my birthday, lads. Yes, it's also 10 days. You have a few days to set the groundwork. Go for it. Whoa. Mate, you got this. It's times like these I wish I understood how to use the Remind Me bot. I can't be the only one who immediately thought of the film, Your Name, upon reading this title. Bra Kimi no Na wa was the first thing that popped up. I just watched it 3 days ago and can't stop thinking about it. I can't remember much, but in my teens I remember having a dream about meeting a boy in an amusement park bathroom. We became great friends and fell in love, I think. Overthinking things, even when I am asleep. I was very disoriented when I woke up, and I could remember his name and everything we did together, details I have since forgotten. Many times. When I was 13 I had a dream I told a poem to the moon who then turned into a woman and came down to earth to be with me, but I got distracted and never got to go back and see her. Pretty sure that's the dream that turned me gay. LMAO. Once had a dream where I was dating A$AP Rocky. Never listened to his music in my life, but when I woke up and a few days after felt like there was an A$AP Rocky shaped hole in my heart. Still think of him as some kind of friend every so often. Weird. So I had a dream in February 2019 where I was at some party and had a long conversation with a girl I met. For some reason, it felt like I knew her for quite a long time, and this conversation just made her tell me she loves me. I told her I felt the same. Then we had a small kiss, something I haven't done yet in real life, and just hugged, embracing one another. It felt like a dream come true knowing that I like a person and that person likes me the same way without them being a family member. Then I woke up and still felt that warm love even though it was a dream. I felt disappointed, yet happy, to know what love felt like even if it wasn't real. Though that just may be me trying to find the positives in a situation. Once I dreamt that I was taking the bus home with some girl. We were standing near the bus, talking and laughing as though we were good friends. I remember one moment in particular when she laughed and it was like everything else just faded away, and I thought, holy shit. I'm completely in love with this person. And then I woke up. I can't remember what she sounded like, or anything beyond basic physical features. But I still remember that feeling. On one hand, it's nice, because to be completely honest I wasn't totally sure that feeling was inside of my emotional range. On the other, I've never felt anything close to that since and frankly doubt I'm going to anytime soon. If ever. I've heard that dreams are visions from alternate realities. Not mine, but taken from the best post in Reddit post about a guy who woke up from a coma where during that coma, he lived for 10 years. Link. So this is weird and not completely on point for the question, but many years ago I had a dream that I killed a snow-white wild boar with my bare hands. We were wrestling and covered in deep red blood, but its pale, soft fur shone in the moonlight and I was overcome with a deep, soul-wrenching love and sorrow at the loss of such a beautiful creature. I remember it vividly and have tried to find out what, if anything, the dream might have meant, but I haven't been able to find any pertinent information. Had a dream I had a child. I walked around with him, and talked to some friends. But there was this warmth I felt while holding him, and after I woke up I felt like someone was missing, for about a week. This might not quite fit, but in high school I had a recurring dream where I'd go to school, live out years of school, graduate, go to college, get a job, get married, have kids, my kids would start school and I'd be in bed one morning, get woken by the kids, then I'd wake up for real and have an absolute mindfuck realizing I was still 15, had no kids or wife, and I had to get up and go to school. Thanks for watching our video. If you like it, please smash the subscribe and like button to support the channel, so that we can create more quality content in the future.